Have you ever contemplated how political conspiracies can reshape the course of history? Imagine a world where the whispers in the shadows, the veiled threats, and the secret alliances hold the power to alter the trajectory of nations and the fate of their leaders. This is not the plot of a gripping political thriller, but a reality that has been enacted time and again throughout the annals of history. One such instance that stands out is the tale of the notorious political conspiracy that led to the assassination of Julius Caesar. Julius Caesar, a name that echoes across millennia, was not just a man but a symbol of power, ambition, and charisma. Born in Rome in the year 100 BC, Caesar was a man who climbed the ladder of power through a combination of military genius, political acumen, and sheer force of will. His rise to power was meteoric, and his rule, while brief, was impactful. In the grand theater of Rome's political landscape, Caesar was a leading player. His conquests expanded Rome's borders, his reforms transformed its political structure, and his charisma won him the hearts of the Roman populace. He was a man who seemed invincible, a man who dared to cross the Rubicon, both literally and metaphorically, and changed the face of Rome forever. But what happens when one man holds too much power? When the balance of a system built on checks and balances is thrown off kilter? The answer lies in the tragic fate of Julius Caesar. For his rise to power, while remarkable, was not without its consequences. It evoked fear, resentment, and jealousy among his contemporaries, setting the stage for one of the most infamous political conspiracies in history. His story serves as a stark reminder of the dangers that lurk in the shadows of political power. For power, in its absolute form, can be a double-edged sword. It can make a man a god, but it can also make him a target. But as history shows, absolute power can breed absolute danger. Julius Caesar, a man of ambition, rose to power in a tumultuous era. Born into the declining Roman Republic, Caesar was a man who knew the value of power and was determined to seize it. His journey to the top was no easy feat, but through sheer determination, political savvy, and a strategic mind, he began to etch his name into the annals of history. Caesar's rise to power was punctuated by a series of military victories that not only solidified his control over Rome, but also expanded its territories. From his successful campaigns in Gaul to his triumph in the civil war against Pompey, his military genius was undeniable. Each victory brought him more wealth, more soldiers loyal to him above Rome, and more influence in the political theater. Back in Rome, Caesar was making moves that would forever transform the Republic. He began implementing reforms that, while popular among the common people, were seen as a direct challenge to the power of the Senate. He centralized power, took control of public funds, and even had his likeness imprinted on Roman coins, a privilege previously reserved for the gods. His actions were not without controversy. His appointment as Dictator Perpetuo, dictator in perpetuity, was a clear deviation from the Republic's traditions. This title, which he bestowed upon himself, was a bold proclamation of his intentions to rule Rome indefinitely. It was a move that sent shockwaves through the Senate, rattling those who valued the Republic's principles of shared power and term limits. Caesar was not just a military and political leader, he was a symbol of change, a figure who embodied the shift from republic to empire. His ascendancy was a testament to his skill, his ambition, and his ruthlessness, but it was also a harbinger of the turbulent times to come. The senators, those guardians of the Republic, watched Caesar's growing influence with increasing alarm. They saw a man who was not just challenging the status quo, but reshaping it entirely. As Caesar's power grew, so did the fear amongst the senators. In the heart of Rome, a group of men started to fear for the future of the Republic. As Julius Caesar's power grew, so did the concern among the senators. The very fabric of their society, the Roman Republic, seemed to be under threat. The balance of power, which had always been delicately maintained, was shifting, and it was shifting towards a single man, Caesar. The Senate, traditionally a place of debate and decision, was becoming a mere rubber stamp for Caesar's ambitions. The man who had once been their equal was now their superior, both in title and in power. The senators watched as Caesar, the man who had once been a consul among consuls, was now a dictator in perpetuity, a king in all but name. The senators feared for the loss of their power, their prestige, and their influence, but more than that, they feared for the Republic. They saw in Caesar's rise not just the end of their own importance, but the end of the Roman Republic itself. The concept of a single man holding ultimate power was anathema to them. It was a clear and present danger to the values they held dear. Among the fearful was a group of men who would become the key figures in the plot against Caesar. Men like Brutus, Cassius, and Trebonius, each with their own reasons for opposing Caesar. Brutus, a man of principle, believed in the Republic and its ideals. Cassius, envious and resentful, saw in Caesar's rise a personal slight. And Trebonius, ambitious and cunning, saw an opportunity to advance his own cause. These men, along with others, formed a conspiracy, a secret pact to protect the Republic at all costs. They believed that the only way to save the Republic was to remove Caesar. In their eyes, it was a necessary evil, a drastic measure for desperate times. In the shadows of the Senate, a deadly conspiracy was taking shape. Little did they know their actions would set the stage for one of the most dramatic events in history. The Ides of March were rapidly approaching, and with them, the fate of Julius Caesar. The Ides of March, a day that would forever be stained in the annals of history. This day, the 15th of March in 44 BC, was marked by an ominous chill. The Roman Senate convened, bristling with tension and trepidation. Among them, Julius Caesar, the man of the hour, oblivious to the storm brewing around him. The senators, cloaked in their stately togas, were no longer mere lawmakers. They had become the architects of a plot designed to end what they perceived as tyranny. Their plan? A coup d'état, the magnitude of which Rome had never seen before. As Caesar entered the Senate, the conspirators swarmed around him, their faces masks of feigned camaraderie. Their hands, however, held a different story. Hidden beneath their togas were daggers, sharp and gleaming, ready to draw blood. One of the conspirators, Tullius Cimber, made the first move. Under the guise of a plea for his exiled brother, he approached Caesar. As he reached out, seemingly in a gesture of supplication, he grabbed Caesar's toga. This was the signal. The senators closed in, their daggers at the ready. In a flurry of movement, the daggers were unsheathed. The once grand Senate chamber was transformed into a slaughterhouse, each senator becoming an executioner. Caesar was surrounded, the daggers falling upon him in a relentless rain. He fought, struggled, but to no avail. 23 times the daggers found their mark. The last to strike was Marcus Brutus, Caesar's friend and confidant. As Brutus's dagger plunged into Caesar, he is said to have uttered the immortal words, "Et tu, Brute?" And you, Brutus. With this final betrayal, Caesar fell, his life seeping away. The Senate chamber fell silent. The man who had once been the most powerful in Rome lay lifeless, his body a testament to the brutal efficiency of the conspiracy. Caesar's reign ended in a pool of blood, his life taken by those he trusted. The death of Caesar shook the foundations of Rome. The city, once vibrant and bustling, now stood silent, caught in the throes of shock and disbelief. The man who had been their leader, their symbol of power, lay lifeless, his blood seeping into the sacred Senate floor. The mighty Julius Caesar, the invincible conqueror, was no more. In the immediate aftermath of Caesar's assassination, Rome was a city in turmoil. News of the gruesome murder spread like wildfire, stoking the flames of fear and uncertainty among the populace. The streets echoed with whispers of conspiracy, betrayal, and vengeance. Rome's citizens, once united under the banner of Caesar's leadership, were now divided, their trust shattered by the violent act of regicide. The power vacuum left behind by Caesar's death sent shockwaves throughout the political landscape of Rome. No longer was there a single unifying figurehead. Instead, Rome was now a ship without a captain, left to the mercy of the stormy seas of political unrest. Suddenly, the once stable hierarchy was thrown into disarray. The Senate, in their desperate bid to regain control, found themselves grappling with factions vying for power. The conspirators who had so meticulously planned Caesar's demise now found themselves in the eye of the storm, their actions sparking a chain reaction that would change the face of Rome forever. The public reaction was a mix of shock, anger, and fear. Many mourned the loss of their leader, their grief palpable in the quietness that fell over Rome. Others, however, saw Caesar's death as a symbol of liberation, a chance to break free from the shackles of tyranny. Yet amidst the chaos and confusion, one thing was clear: Rome would never be the same. In the wake of Caesar's assassination, Rome was a city on the brink. The Senate's desperate gambit had not restored balance, but had instead thrown Rome into a state of flux, a dangerous Game of Thrones with no clear victor in sight. Rome was left in chaos, the repercussions of their actions were only beginning to unfold. The death of one man can change the course of history. Julius Caesar's assassination was not merely an end, it was a beginning, a catalyst that brought about drastic changes in the political landscape of Rome and ultimately the world. In their fervor to preserve the Roman Republic, the conspirators had sown the seeds of its downfall. The assassination of Caesar did not restore the Republic as they had hoped. Instead, it sparked a power vacuum and set the stage for a series of bloody civil wars that tore the Republic apart. The old order was gone, and in its place came a new one, the Roman Empire. The key figure to rise from the ashes of these civil wars was none other than Caesar's adopted son and heir, Octavian, later known as Augustus. This young, ambitious man skillfully navigated the treacherous political waters, outmaneuvering his rivals and ultimately establishing himself as Rome's first emperor. His reign marked the end of the Roman Republic and the birth of the Roman Empire, an entity that would go on to dominate the Western world for centuries to come. The assassination of Caesar was a turning point, a moment in time that reverberated across the centuries. It was a stark reminder of the dangers of political conspiracies, the unpredictability of their outcomes, and the unintended consequences they often bring about. The conspirators' intentions may have been noble, at least in their own eyes, but their actions led to the end of a system they were trying to save. Their plot did not restore the Republic, it destroyed it. Their actions did not prevent tyranny, they paved the way for it. In the grand scheme of history, the events that unfolded in the wake of Caesar's assassination served as a potent reminder of the ripple effect, the far-reaching consequences that a single act can have. In their bid to save the Republic, the conspirators had unwittingly ushered in an empire. History, if not anything else, is a great teacher. It is a vast tapestry of events, people, and decisions that continue to shape the world we live in today. The story of Julius Caesar and his tragic end is a lesson in itself, a tale that echoes through the corridors of time, teaching us about the dangers of political conspiracies. The key events leading up to Caesar's assassination were the result of a complex web of political treachery. Caesar's meteoric rise to power, his declaration as dictator perpetuo, or dictator in perpetuity, sparked fear and resentment among the Senate. Fearing the end of the Roman Republic and the dawn of autocratic rule, a conspiracy was hatched. The Ides of March, 44 BC, marked the end of Caesar's reign and life, a bloody coup in the heart of Rome. The aftermath was chaos. Rome plunged into a civil war, the Republic crumbled, and in its place rose the Roman Empire, ironically bringing about the autocracy the conspirators sought to prevent. The ripple effects of this act of treason were felt far and wide, changing the course of history. So, what can we learn from this? The assassination of Julius Caesar underscores the perils of political conspiracies. They are born out of fear, suspicion, and a hunger for power, often leading to unintended consequences. They may temporarily succeed in removing a perceived threat, but they inevitably sow the seeds of uncertainty and instability. They create a power vacuum, a void that is often filled by forces far more dangerous and unpredictable. Moreover, these conspiracies erode the very foundations of trust and unity upon which societies are built. They breed paranoia, divide loyalties, and can push societies towards the brink of collapse. They remind us that the pursuit of power, when unchecked, can lead to the very downfall of those who seek it. Political conspiracies might change regimes, but they also leave behind a legacy of distrust, fear, and often a worse fate than before.